Sad thing, I think I must have picked this game. So, I mean, I looked at the date I have recorded for my one playthrough on BGG, and it's 2000, which is an indication that I had this quite a long time ago. Like, everything that I played, everything that I played before I started being on BGG, I marked down those plays off. I had them recorded on cards. It didn't have all my plays recorded, but given what I'm guessing about this, I probably picked this up in the 90s at some point and played it once. It's kind of odd because I threw my cards away that I tracked everything, which would have had information about other people I played it with. So it's like possible I played this like with my first wife or something. I don't recall at all. It seems odd that I would not have played it solo though, at least once, which to me means that I probably only played it solo. And if that's the case, it means that I probably played it in between like the time that I probably picked it up in between the time that she and I kind of stopped playing games as much, when she started getting more focused on going to school, and when we eventually separated. And that's actually also supported, since I did all the historical games with her, by the fact that there's no little slip with a sequence of play, which is why I came to this. It's time to start playing. And I don't have a little piece of paper with the sequence of play written out. I'm kind of considering doing it, but I don't think I really need to. So for the Mexican player turn, the thing is, the two different players have different sequences slightly, so it might be useful. Mexicans check their supply. Everything's in supply, can all trace back to Mexico City or one of the roads. There are no reinforcements on the first turn. It's kind of weird that the Mexicans go first on an invasion situation. It gives me some chance to move forward. What it doesn't allow me to do is it's not going to allow me... What the hell's this? Ah, that's the special space. Hold on. We forgot something. There's something that goes in the setup. In addition, the players place one pack animal on 2406. Cannot be moved until a combat unit enters the hex. If the Mexicans enter, they kill it. If the U.S. enters, they get some pack animals. So that's available, sort of, kind of. I could position it this way. So the Mexicans can go slaughter a pack animal. That sounds like a good goal. All right. But I do find it kind of odd that the Mexicans can't, or that they can move around, when historically kind of they didn't really prep for the invasion, and then they're disallowed from doing anything that particularly helps defend. So let's keep looking. No reinforcements. Guerrillas. I don't get guerrillas yet because there's a restriction on when I'm able to put them in play. Again, that's not marked anywhere, but it's after a U.S. combat unit occupies basically one of these two towns, cities. Cities? Towns. Okay. Right? I don't know. Oh, I can't tell. I think those are towns. Okay. Which flips me back again to the sequence. And this is the thing. I'm going to be flipping back and forth, and why I think I might need one. I'm going to be flipping back and forth between the charts and the sequence of play, and also looking through the rules. So having one out here might be useful. Mexican political, we're not on turn 10 yet. Mexican movement. All right. So I could send some engineers out to kill horses, because that's what engineers do, right? That seems like a good choice. So we're looking at roads, which are 1 per 2, and trails, which are 1. So that would be a half. There's no river crossing here. What if I do this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That would get me there. 1. What does the river cost? Boop, boop, boop. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's cheaper this way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I can make it to there. No big difference. Do I want to move any of these others? Well, the answer is yes. The forces that are here represent a means of preventing an assault. I don't think I'm going to send the engineers. They sound like they would be useful in an assault to do, counter mining and stuff like that. They're not. It's the same value. The other question is, do I want to move some stuff up the road? Is there any particular reason? So we got jungle and we got rough. There was something special about rough, wasn't there? Something they can't walk along the rough. I don't remember what it was. So the real question is, do I want to defend up further forward? And I'm having kind of a hard choice here as to anything that I'd want to be doing in terms of, do I want to defend one of these road lines? I think what I want to do is I want to move to here. Now this is a town. Towns are not cities. I definitely want to defend this. Now the highway is 1 per 5, something like that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 movement points. We'll get to there. Create a block there. These little villages and whatnot aren't going to make a damn difference. Towns don't either. So, how far was I? I don't know. We'll gather here that we're not expecting the U.S. to come crashing through right away. Stack 3 units there. I just want to make the way a little bit more difficult. These guys will fall back to one of those towns, so that's fine. Assuming I surrender, and I've always got the option to surrender. If I don't surrender, they get captured, and that would be bad, but I don't want to leave things empty either. Okay. And then siege and combat, that puts me over to the US player turn. This is what's kind of annoying. I feel like I should shift the game turn marker back and forth. There's 2 game turn markers. I don't feel like that gives me the information I want. I'm going to actually stack them together. I have games that are missing a game turn marker, so because sometimes it's the only thing over on one part of the map and you forget where it is, and maybe you clean up all the pieces, not the way that I've gotten used to, which is by folding the map and getting them all together and sweeping them in, or even that way might cause something off to the edge to fall off or whatever. So I've got a couple of games that are just missing the game turn marker. So I could steal one for that, but that doesn't feel fair. All right, to the US turn. And on the US side, we don't have any supply. This is the first turn of the game. We have to look at reinforcements. Now, I wish I had this on a Lazy Susan or my table were big enough that I could spin the map around on it, but I tried and yeah, that doesn't work. So what do I got? I got piles of stuff coming in this turn, and everything lands on one invasion hex. So I'm gonna do a little bit of stacking and unstacking, basically moving things to these boxes for the divisions. I have 3 of my 4 divisions showing up here. The 4th one doesn't show up until here, and try to figure out what the hell I want to do. Really, I couldn't think of anything I could do with the Mexicans that would help the situation, right? Having units, say, out here somewhere where they could either be picked off or kind of ignored, right? Or overrun, which is the worst of all cases, just doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. So I'm just leaving everyone in Veracruz. I just don't see any advantage to trying to defend, you know. So what options would I have had as I'm thinking about the U.S. attack? Because I kind of made this decision without talking about it at all. So I could have done something like put a unit here or something. What does that do me? Well, nothing, because I could land right here, and I could attack Veracruz. And now this is just, you know, maybe escaping, but whatever. I could put it back here where it would be a little bit more effective in terms of blocking traffic, but again, these guys prevent an assault from happening. I can't put it on the coast. That's forbidden by the rules, but if it wasn't, if I was playing with the option where it's not, it could just be overrun. I could take a larger force and do something with it, but that doesn't do a hell of a lot for me either. Let's say I put the entire force here. Well, then Veracruz is open, I land here, and I come in. Boom, it's gone. Let's say I leave a couple of strength points here. Well, again, I could just ignore these. These have a way of escaping on their own anyway through the surrender rules. So I just don't see anything that the Mexicans can do that'll hinder the U.S. except kill those poor pack animals back here. So, yeah. Divisions, there's a note here that the divisions don't have to be arranged the way that they are. I see no real reason not to. Again, I'm just throwing strength points together, and at the very least, I know one of these is going to be all volunteer. So this is all volunteer. And I believe the 1st and 3rd are not. Is there some reason that I'd want to use these units differently, or should I just incorporate them into my division? Obviously, the Navy guns I can't incorporate into a division, so that's fine. But do I want to rush forward at all? I'm only allowed 3 hexes, so if I land here 1, 2, 3, I could get to there. As I'm only allowed to land in 1 space, and I'm only allowed to move 3 hexes total. So there's not a hell of a lot I could do. I could land up here and grab these extra horsies, but that prevents me from getting a move on Veracruz, and I'm only allowed 1 invasion location. I can't like, you know, split my forces and send somebody up here. This is worth a victory point. That's something I'm going to want to take eventually. I think I'm going to make my landing here, and that gives me a reason to split a couple of units. So 1, 2, 3. I can put a couple of units there. Do I want to send the Marines here? Yeah, they're on the special mission too. And then everything else, I see a problem. I have to have Veracruz surrounded in order to siege it. It does not have a zone of control, though. Okay. So I land here and move this there. Great. That gets me a bombardment piece. I don't know what the boats are up to. I'll just put them here. They're probably going to fire on Veracruz. And then for my divisions, and all my horses. Oh. Wow, I only have one set of supplies. I'll also move here. But my divisions have to do something clever. So let's send the 1st division, lands here, moves here. 2nd and 3rd, I guess I'll move there. I don't know. and we'll be in position like that. Great. That was pretty exciting. I feel like I put a lot of thought into something that isn't really having much effect. And now all my pieces are facing the US side of the map, which I need them to do for what? For nothing I can think of. Okay. What did we do? US supply phase. I don't think I get a roll on the first turn. I don't see a reason I don't. Better find me some dice. Something tells me I should have different colored dice to do these, but I never do that. The beginning of each US supply phase. Okay. So, you know, I don't think I can put them because I don't have a port at the beginning of the game. All right. So I have nowhere where I'm legitimately allowed to place them, but I am allowed to place them. I would be allowed to place them on a coastal hex if I don't have a port, but I don't have a coastal hex at the beginning of the game either. So that now the reinforcements come in. U.S. movement happened. The reinforcements all landed here. Then they reinforced into their positions. And we go down to the combat phase. It's siege. I don't need to expend a supply or anything for this turn because it's the turn of the invasion. I don't have to do that. So now I go to the siege table and I count up what I've got. Well, instead of pawing through all those pieces, I know that all my artillery is adjacent to Veracruz. So I've got 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 artillery firing on Veracruz. And what did I say, 17? That's this. Veracruz itself, sadly, they don't list the starting values here, so I've got to look them up. Because I didn't place them on there, because my rules would have covered that up at one point, the way I had things set, and then I shifted the board over so that I could read, but I didn't get around to it. So where are our sieges? What are our cities? Each fortress has a strength. Come on. I know San Juan de Ulululu is reduced to 6 at some point. Defensive strength of a fortress is also its counter. All right, I do not remember where these numbers were placed. The fortresses, each fortress was built. The defensive strength is its counter battery. That doesn't get me where I'm supposed to go. Somewhere it tells me what their strength is. I don't know. It's in the setup. All right, I gotta look for this. I'm pretty sure that peyote or whatever is a 6. I think the others are 15 both, but I'm not positive. Does it say here? No. It says here. So that's a 5. I don't know what Veracruz is. I'm sitting on it. I still don't know what it is. I can't read. San Juan is a 15. I think I can't see that number. Is that a 10? I think that's a 10. The maximum and original is printed next to the name of the fortress on the game map. This strength may be placed. I wish they told me what it was. Yeah, I think that's a 10. I can't really read it on the map, even zooming in. Okay. So now we go to the bombardment, and the U.S. will bombard. First they say, hey, do you want to surrender? No, I do not. We get a 4, that's going to cause 4 hits. So Veracruz goes down to a 6. I don't have to worry about this more powerful castle or whatever. I'm throwing my points in against that. There's absolutely no value to that castle, as far as I can tell. And now they shoot back, and I believe they shoot with their full strength of 10, which means only on a 6 do we do any damage. There's no reason for this 17 or more. None of the fortresses fire on that table. And you might say, what's up there? Yeah, I don't know. We don't get a hit. We've trimmed them by half. They're still at the 6 or more level. So if I wanted to assault, they would be what, like quadrupled, I believe is the case. Let's find the assault. Total combat strength points multiplied by 4 if the defensive strength is 6 or more. So I didn't get enough hits on it to make an assault any better than it was right at the beginning. So we are going to say we're delayed a turn. That was the combat phase. We dropped down to disease and attrition. We're not in the first disease phase. And that means we're done with game turn 1, and I'm going to move both game turn counters down to the 2. You know, I don't need to do this. I can do it that way. I'll just put dice next to. That'll help me. It was weirding me out to try to shift them. And we have started, and not much has happened. The Mexicans are feeling a little iffy about having marched off this way, but I do want to go kill those horses and then try to run away. And maybe I can disappear into the countryside and the cav won't chase me down. But it's fast. However, it does not have a leader. I have 3 leaders, 1 in charge of each division. I would have to dissolve a division, and it would have to be a regular division, in order to go chase this down. Okay, let's take a look at the second turn then. Mexicans are still in supply. Reinforcements, it's game turn 2. I get some additional forces, and they get placed at these hexes. So the U.S. units having moved here is kind of a pain in the ass for these guys. And they wouldn't have done that if I wasn't chasing, or maybe they would have, I don't know. But they've created a bottleneck where this town is now kind of a pain in the ass. I'm going to move this guy, grab his horsey. I could move down a little bit. Can't move any closer because then I'd get into a zone of control. But swamps are bad to be in, not surprisingly. They actually are, well, they're not bad. They're bad for disease. They give you a defensive benefit, which actually is better than Alvarado may give. Let's see what Alvarado is. Alvarado is a city, right? No, it's a town. I'm having trouble determining, but I believe it's only a town. It looks pretty pale. I'm really not finding this easy to determine. What is a city? What is a town? I think these are actually cities. Puebla's a city, yeah. Which means that we've got the Mexican special rule defending cities. The cities in Mexico, do we have them listed? We only have Puebla or Mexico City listed here as the ones that are they're unwilling to defend. However, I look at this and this looks darker than this to me. Let's take a look at what this looks like. No, this is kind of tannish. This is kind of tannish. Yeah, I think this is, I think the only cities are this and this hex of Mexico City. Everything else looks kind of brownish rather than gray. I'm having difficulty distinguishing, but I think that's a lighting and eyes issue more than anything else. So, yeah, there's absolutely no value to towns. They don't give any defensive value at all. They might give a victory point value. So given that the swamp is a decent place to defend, I'm going to actually go there. We don't want to be there when the disease hits, perhaps, but yeah. And we continue to move our forces forward. Now, it's kind of important that we get here because this gives us room to fall back up this peninsula in case we're attacked, which is a big deal because we don't have a leader. And we can't fight. So we're actually bottled in there and in trouble with the U.S. having placed themselves here. So this was actually very clever, but I didn't know what I was doing, of course. I think that's the end of the Mexican phase. We took out the horsies, because whatever, and we go down to the U.S. side of things, and it's the U.S. supply. Now we get to roll on the tables. And we get, how many supply units? We get 1. Any pack animals? We don't get a pack animal. We do get a supply unit. This goes at a port location. That'll be down here. I'm just going to shove it off. What I'm going to do. I'm going to put this with the 1st Division. It's not actually part of the division. I'm going to put this with the 1st Division. Just to indicate. Now, I only have 1 pack animal. I have a whole bunch of supply. Not sure I really want to use a supply at this point, but I'm not sure that I don't. This has a strength of, say, 2. I probably can't overrun it. I don't have a leader there. I'm fine bottling them up there. I'm fine not chasing them down and using a leader. I have no troops that come in until much later. So, I think we are going to, so we can expend the supply, in which case we roll on the 17 or more table, but that doesn't really help us. We can't destroy Veracruz on that. But we do get a minimum of 2, which means that if we do half that 17, should put us down here, we wouldn't get much. So yeah, I'm going to expend my supply. That may mean that I leave some forces behind and I go chase these guys down. Sending the 3rd Division to here, I don't think that makes sense. I think I want it here because then I can supply all of the units. Because I moved the pack animals with it. It could leave the pack animals separate. They'd actually be safe here with the division here. But I feel like I've got as much positioning as I need. I left an artillery unit back with the 2nd Division so that I have the full 17, which I'm going to fire. And I only do 2 this time. Yeah, this all seems pretty minor, doesn't it? And then it fires back on the 6 table and does not get a 6, which was the only thing that would have killed something. I would have killed a gunboat because I get them back and they're not useful for anything else in the game other than operating with bombardments along here. So they're just there to take Veracruz. That's all that they succeed in doing. Everything's in supply currently. Let's see what else we got here. Anything else coming up? Nope. And we have east. You know what this is? This is when the Mexican armies show up. So there's Mexico. I didn't wasn't spelled out in the rules, but SA is Santa Anna's political roles are there. So on this turn, I'll be getting the Army of the East. This is getting low enough, I might consider surrendering to get my army out of there. Simply because if he's going to be rolling on a 17 table, he's got a chance of taking me out and losing, you know, a general. Sure, it's not a lot of strength points. It's my only engineer, though. But it's enough that I see no reason to give him a chance to take it, right? So, shall we do another turn here quickly? Why not? We're near the end. Like, you know, I just have this impetus to, I just did something, let's go away. Because I'm so used to that. But there's so little, you know, there's so little happening in the game, so I might as well just keep playing, right? Except I do have to poop soon. All right. Mexicans in supply. These guys wouldn't be in, these guys are not in supply. These guys wouldn't be in supply, but they're in a fortress, so they are. What the hell is that? There's some weird stuff going on outside. That is just a big truck. I can't believe, you know, that thing makes it up here, and my movers couldn't maneuver the roads, and had to charge me a shitload of money. And this wasn't them scamming me. Like everything else was them scamming me, but they had to go through extra work to unload the truck, get my shit onto a U-Haul and all that. Charged me a fucking fortune for it, which sucks, and obviously charged me more than the cost that it was to them. Although, like, I could have met them, I guess, at the place where they were unloading. I could have just talked to them and said, look, let me just meet you down there and I will rent a truck and get it. But whatever. All right. But I felt like that would probably end up costing me more too somehow. So where the hell am I? I am on the Mexican reinforcements. 2 more units come in. And I get the Army of the East. Now I could create this as the Army of the East. I don't see a point to that, but I do have this. This is going to show up down at Puebla. It's not big enough to become the army, so, you know, we'll move him on his way. A little bit of movement, ran away down here, moved forces down. This general is down here. I'm planning on creating an army for him as well, so that's not a big deal. Who is this? Where the fuck is Santa Anna? When do I get him? I get him here with the Army of Mexico at San Luis Potosi Road 0142. It's going to be way down here. That's a long walk. And I do want to create an army for that, though, because that has artillery with it. And the artillery can't move unless they're part of an army. So there's that. Okay, to the U.S. side, anything exciting happening here? U.S. supply phase. We roll for more toys. Supply units for, that's 1 pack animal. Nope. So we get another supply unit. And I will again expend that supply unit so that all my units are in general supply, or in combat supply, which is of some importance because I'm planning on taking that. Any reinforcements? Nope. So I get to move. 3rd Division is here. We spent the supply already. So we come here 1, 2, 3. 3. I can pick these up, but I'm not sure I actually can. Is 3rd Division my volunteers? Nope. Good. They'll be in that same stack. 3, moving up the trail there, I can declare an overwhelming attack. These are in general supply. I can actually scout them first. I've got my engineer with me, don't I? Yeah. Let me scout them first. I get to look at the top 10 units. Wow. All right, so I get to see these. They're going to be at 2 strength points. I'll count my own units, but they're in general supply. I don't remember what that does. I don't think it halves them. I don't know what I have. Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 20. Above 10 to 1 already. So I will do the movement into there. So what did I say I was doing? I was coming from this hex. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I hit this. I wipe it out. These are not, no, they are. So they go into the cup. That was 4. I can break somebody off. 5, yeah, I did combined movement. I can break somebody off, but only if I stop. 5, 6, 7, 8. I get the victory point for there. This army stops where it is. It's going to be in general supply next turn, which means it moves slower. But that's fine, because it's not like I'm chasing these suckers down. I'll move these over to join the 1st Division. They're not actually in it. These are actually part of this division, but I might reorganize. And that gets me down to, and yes, there's a lot of finicky little stuff. Rally phase. The siege phase. I've got my 17 points. I'm announcing my attack. Spain is surrendering, or Mexico's surrendering. And they will fall back to here. I capture both of these. I'll just move 2nd Division in. Do I want to move both in? Might as well move both in. What the hell? All right, and the invasion is successful. Yay! And we are actually on turn 3 at this point. This should be moving on to turn 4 over here. And I don't think there's anything remaining to do. So I'll move this here. What does this say? It says April. The other one did as well. All right. I think this is a good place to stop and load it up because, hey, we've succeeded in taking Veracruz and we're ready to start trying to figure out how we want to push up. Mexico has 2 choices for where they want to center their army. They're only going to have one army at this point, the Army of the East, because they need the Army of Mexico for this, which complicates things. I think I want to defend the road better and give that the advantage of the army, but then that might make this a more intriguing pathway. Don't know. So far, this game is certainly serving in its purpose as a sort of a comfort food type game, right? I think my nature as to what I consider such games has changed, and maybe some of it has to do with bidding, maybe some of it has to do with other things. But you know, once upon a time, this kind of game I would see as a chore to play, where I was kind of bored throughout it, whereas my comfort food was more stuff like Britannia. Now I feel more like This is more along the lines, I don't know why, just because each little turn, each little action's fairly simple. I don't know. I don't know. Tastes change, I guess. Seems odd to me, though. You know, I feel like I should always be who I was, and I'm not really feeling like this is not, you know, if I look back 20 years, this is not something I would have chosen in the comfort food element. This would be in the, I really ought to play that game. I haven't played it, or I haven't played it much. I really ought to get another play and marked and just collect that up. And it's kind of interesting because by doing that, what it means is that if my tastes change, I'm at least able to find things that I don't have fond memories of that now, you know, or memories of in this sort of sense. And I do begin to find, hey, you know, my taste did change and I can see that where I might not have before, and I might have like tried to pull out something like a Britannia or a History of the World or something like that, where I'm not doing a lot of thinking or anything any more than this, but it's a different kind of situation, and just not getting that same comfort feeling that I was craving. I think the biggest aspect, though, is a combination of me doing the video and having to deal with the rules. What used to be comfort food for me, the Britannia or whatever, I didn't have to read the rules to play. Here, I had to read the rules to play it, but I have to do that with everything that I do on video now, basically, unless I'm playing something that I've played very recently, something in the same series or whatever, you know. And the old SPI rules are just such a gem compared to almost anything else out there. Sure, I love my Victory Games rules. I love my Gamers rules. But Gamers games tend to be pretty complex. The stupid fucking thing just won't do what it's supposed to. The Gamers games tend to be pretty complex. Even the SCS, I mean, the SCS stuff isn't bad, but I don't find them particularly easy to approach in the same way that I find, you know, this old Dunnigan-like format rules. The man was just brilliant in terms of this one thing, if nothing else. Sure, a lot of his games are kind of crap, but his imposing this structure of rules that was consistent basically from the earliest days of SPI to near the end. Towards the end, they started going to something that was a more loose presentation, with this intention of like trying to grab newer, younger gamers from the role-playing audience and whatnot. And they tried to make things a little bit simpler seeming and didn't put the case numbers in as much and everything. I don't find those as approachable. They're not quite as bad as like GMT era rules, but they're probably on the same level as like the Gamers stuff and things like that. Now, the Gamers stuff is beautiful because of the beautiful, heavy stock paper that they use. They've stopped doing that. I've stopped ordering their games. The two aren't absolutely related, but they're pretty close, to tell you the truth. Like, one of the reasons that I kept ordering ordering Gamers games that like, it's like, do I really need another OCS or whatever? And it's like, I've only played a couple of them and I just don't seem to keep going them. Well, just the pleasure of that heavy stock paper. There's nothing else that puts that out. There's never been anything else that put that out, as far as I'm concerned. Some have done like parchment-y type stuff and things like that. It doesn't compare. It just doesn't compare. Yeah, I know, it's got great texture and everything. Anyway, these magazine games do not. I had to use a pen to put the errata in, but the errata was basically a single number in two places. Like, there was just there was an error in an example. There were like 3 or 4 elements of errata, and 2 of them were of importance. One was the rule reference that was wrong. Yeah, that involved just correcting one number. When you're just correcting one number, using pencil is not a great idea because it's too faint. If you're trying to write over a number on here, you kind of want something a little darker. A regular ballpoint pen works just fine on this kind of paper. Just like a pencil would work okay. Pencils are a little iffy on this. They have a bit of a gloss on them, and they don't write very well, but they still work. Let's just, go off the rails all over the place here.